Please like this video. It will really help this story reach as many people as possible. Thank you so much for your support. I walked into a house that looked like a magazine spread, lamps dimmed just right, jazz low, the smell of roast chicken and rosemary drifting from the kitchen. Lauren set a plate down and grinned like a commercial. Perfect timing, she said, wiping her hands on a towel. Mark's coming by. Don't be weird about it. He helped me pick the wine. Did he now? I hung my jacket, kissed her cheek, and took in the flowers she'd arranged on the table. You're in a mood. In a good way. She tapped my chest with the towel. Smile for once. It's our little ritual. Our little ritual had a new guest of honor lately. Still, I told myself not to ruin a good thing. 10 years married, bills paid, business stable thanks to Mark and me. If the picture looked too perfect, that was a problem for cynics. I'd chosen a good woman. That was my line, and I liked it. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have left the table set and taken a walk. But I didn't. I pulled out a chair and poured the wine Mark helped pick. The bell rang, and Mark breezed in like he owned the place. Jeans, gray Henley, salesman smile. We'd built a service company together out of a beat-up garage. He was the face. I was the backbone. I could handle his showmanship. Usually. Chef Lauren, he said, lifting the lid off the roasting pan. You're going to ruin me for takeout. You're already ruined, she shot back, and they both chuckled. I set plates. Ground rules, I told them. No shop talk until dessert. Look at you, Mark said, sliding into a chair. Trying to be European. Trying to eat without hearing about invoicing. Lauren brought a stack of napkins. I like it, she said. Let's be civilized. We lasted 6 minutes. Mark speared a carrot, glanced at me. So, the Mallory job. Dessert, I reminded him. He winked at Lauren. He's serious. She smirked. I can tell. We ate. Their banter was easy, almost rehearsed. Little inside lines that didn't include me. I cut into chicken. How's your day? I asked Lauren. Busy. She poured more wine for Mark without looking at me. Pilates, then I ran errands. Mark called about the vendor issue. Did he? I put down my fork. I'm right here. She laughed. Relax. It was quick. Mark reached for the salt. We were just comparing notes. On my dime, I said, but I kept it light. Lauren checked her phone, the glow reflecting in her glass. By the way, my parents want to come by Sunday. Mark, you should stop in too. I'm not family, he said, pretending to protest. You're basically family, she answered. I let it pass. Maybe I turned suspicious at the wrong things in life. Maybe this was what trust looked like. Hands off, let the people you love have space. I took a sip and decided I'd rather be wrong than small. After dinner, I carried dishes to the sink. In the living room, Lauren and Mark stood close going through a playlist. Not touching, but close enough to share the glow off the screen. I dried my hands. Coffee? I asked. Decaf, she said, eyes still on the music. Mark leaned back on the counter. You know, he said, we should think about that regional expansion. Dessert, I said again. He laughed. Man of principle. As he moved past me, his phone lit up, Lauren's name on the banner. It could have been a reminder. It could have been nothing. It could have been the first domino hitting the second. Next time, I told both of them. Give me a heads up before we make my dining room the boardroom. Lauren's smile didn't slip, it just thinned. Noted. Mark raised his hands. Your house, your rules. Exactly, I said. And rule 2, we're not hosting on my late nights. I don't want to play catch up at midnight. Lauren opened her mouth like she had a comeback ready. Then she shrugged. Fine. I'll text you before I plan anything. Good, I said. That should have been the end of it. But when I walked past the island, her phone vibrated. A message preview from Mark popped up. You're bad. My chest got tight. Then I told myself not to be 13. I set out the coffee and filed the line away. The next day at the shop, Mark was already charming 2 suppliers by the coffee machine. He lived to be the fun one. I didn't need to compete. I needed invoices paid and technicians showing up on time. He waved me over. Got a minute, boss? We stepped into my office. Laptops, calendars, whiteboards with neat rows of jobs. My corner. Mark flopped into a chair. We should book that trade conference next month. Good place to scoop new maintenance contracts. Budget? I asked. We'll float it, he said, quick. Cash flow's fine. I tapped a spreadsheet. Then show me. No more verbal optimism. We'll approve over email. 2 signatures on anything over 5 grand. He cocked his head. Since when? Since now, I answered. I'm done with impulse flights and surprise expenses. He lifted his palms. Okay, we'll be grown-ups. Speaking of, I added, company card stays in the office. Check it out when you need it. Log it when you bring it back. He smirked. You think I'm partying with it? I think systems don't care who's using them, I replied. He watched me for a beat, then nodded. Whatever you say, Captain. Good. I pushed a form across the desk. Vendor passwords. Rotate them. You're not the only one with access anymore. Jenna, accounting, gets a login too. He arched a brow. Since when are we bringing Jenna into our? I need a second set of eyes, I said. We're too loose. He chuckled. You trying to break up with me? Try not to cry at your desk, I said. We walked out together. On the floor, our foreman, Miguel, handed me a clipboard. Question on the Mallory install, he said. Hold that, Mark cut in. I've got a thing. I raised a hand. Miguel, walk me through it. Mark peeled off, phone already out. He wasn't used to being managed. He was used to being indulged. That was on me. At lunch, my phone buzzed. Lauren, sorry about last night. I should have checked with you. Another? Dinner just us tonight? I'll cook your favorite. I replied, yes. 7. She sent a heart emoji, then, I appreciate you. I know I don't say it enough. I scratched at the corner of an invoice and thought, fine. Maybe my boundaries were overdue. Maybe I should have set them sooner. People usually respond to clarity. I could give her that. The rest of the day ran clean. Late afternoon, I opened email and saw a subject line I didn't expect. I can't lie to you anymore. The sender name, Jenna H. I worked with a Jenna, but this was different. Lauren's friend, the one with sharp nails and a sharper mouth who came around for wine nights. She barely tolerated me. I stared at the subject. I didn't open it yet. I closed my laptop and drove home, telling myself this wasn't my problem. If she wanted drama, she'd have to find another audience. Dinner was quiet, comfortable. Lauren moved around the kitchen like she was choreographing something. Halfway through, she reached across the table and squeezed my wrist. I heard you changed your office rules, she said. Good for you. Mark told you. I stabbed a piece of asparagus. He mentioned it, she said. He thinks you're clamping down. I am. She smiled. I like you decisive. We cleared plates. She leaned on the counter, watching me. I'm sorry for making you feel sidelined, she said. I get excited about plans and forget to loop you in. Okay, I said. I mean it. Her eyes didn't blink. I want you to feel respected in this house. Then listen when I set rules. I answered. Don't play host when I'm trying to land the plane. Got it, she said. I'll be better. It was smooth. It was the kind of apology you'd frame. I kissed her hair and told myself to stop guarding the gate if no one was trying to storm it. Later that night, when she showered, I opened the email from Jenna. I read it twice. Then again because words stopped being words after the first paragraph. The email was short, almost cold. Your wife is meeting up with your friend. You keep telling everybody you trust them. And they laugh behind your back. I was part of it by keeping quiet. I'm done. Then attachments, screenshots. Lauren sending photos not meant for friends. Lauren telling Jenna how easy it was to explain long afternoons as errands because he thinks Mark is just around for work. There were timestamps. There were jokes at my expense like it was a sport. One line burned. He wants to believe. It's adorable. I scrolled until my thumb hurt and stopped when a selfie of the two of them in my backyard popped up, taken when I was on a call inside. His hand wasn't where a friend puts a hand. I closed the phone. I turned off the light in the kitchen, then turned it on again because the dark was worse. When Lauren walked back in, towel around her hair, she studied me. You look like you saw a ghost. Long day, I said. She stepped closer. You're somewhere else. I am, I told her. Work? Something like that. She waited. When I didn't add more, she reached for a glass. You're being weird. Probably, I said. She frowned. Do you want to talk? Not tonight. She pushed her lips forward, a little annoyed. Okay. I slept, if you could call it that, facing the window. At 4 in the morning, I got up and made coffee. At 6, I ran a loop around the block until my lungs burned. At 8, I opened a new note on my phone and started writing steps. At noon, I called a private investigator named Daly. A guy whose name came from other guys who don't gossip, they just fix problems. He picked up on the second ring. Daily. I need someone followed discreetly. Spouse. Yes. You got a window? I'll create one, I said. I'll be out of town next week. She'll feel free. Understood. He asked for details, addresses, car model, patterns. He took them down like it was a grocery list. At 2, I left the shop and met my accountant, Nora, at a coffee place across town. Not our usual. I put a file on the table. I want options, I said. Emergency exit for the company. I want my equity ring-fenced and liabilities neutralized. If I needed to unwind fast, what's the cleanest path? Nora was one of those people who don't blink. We can initiate a dissolution and pivot your assets into a new entity. We'll need to handle vendors and payroll. Your partner won't like it. He's forfeited his vote, I said. You want to tell me why? No. She nodded like she preferred it that way. We can have papers ready by Monday. Do it, I said. And lock the old card. New accounts, only my signature. Clear. She closed the folder. You okay? I will be. At home that night, Lauren cooked again. A little too cheerful, a little too sweet. You know, she said, handing me a plate. We should do something big for our 10-year. I'm thinking house party. Your family, mine, a few friends. Mark can help with the catering. Keep it small, I said. She frowned. Why? Less noise. Saturday, you're still off. I sliced my steak. I'm thinking. About what? Where we're headed. She blinked twice. That sounds ominous. It's practical, I said. Also, I'm going out of town next week. Client wants me on site before the quarter closes. Next week. She set her fork down. That's our anniversary week. I'll be back in time, I answered. That's not the point. It's the job. She looked at me like she was weighing if I was bluffing. Then she pivoted into soft. Okay, if it's important, it is. She reached across the table, palm up. I don't want distance between us. Then stop inviting it, I said, and took a sip of water. She pulled her hand back. What does that mean? Exactly what it sounds like. She forced a smile. I'll do better. That was her first act of soft. A pretty bandage over a deep cut. I nodded like it worked. The next morning, I packed a small suitcase with clothes I didn't intend to wear. I booked a hotel 30 minutes away and sent myself a calendar invite with a fake client name. At noon, I drove to the shop and met our foreman. Team meeting, I told Miguel. 10 minutes. We gathered in the back bay. 10 techs, steel shelves, the smell of oil and coffee. Changes, I said. All procurement runs through Nora. 2 signatures on purchases over 1,000. If you can't reach me, you wait. No exceptions. Miguel nodded. Got it. Mark walked in late, sunglasses on his head. What's the emergency? Systems, I said. And I'm out next week. You'll handle field ops, not finances. He laughed once. You're hilarious. I'm not, I answered. Keys to the petty cash box, Miguel? You're custodian. Mark looked between us. We've never done it like that. We do now, I said. He put his hands on his hips. You and I should talk privately. We will, I said. Now, you've got your marching orders. They dispersed. Mark hung back. What's up with you, he asked. You've been rigid. I'm tired of sloppiness. He tilted his head. Me too. Then follow the rules, I said. He grinned, a little too easy. How's Lauren? She seemed cheerful. She's fine, I said. We're all fine. He watched my face like he was searching for a crack. Right. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the story. I left him standing there and drove to the hotel. At 2:15, I checked in under my name and texted Lauren, landed at the client. At 2:47, Daly sent the first photo, her car pulling out of our driveway. At 3:31, her car in front of Mark's townhouse. At 3:39, a shot of them at his door, too close for friends, her hand on his shoulder like she'd said it there 100 times. At 4:10, curtains drawn. Daly followed with short notes. They ordered delivery at 5:15. She left at 7:08. Stopped at pharmacy. Home at 7:41. When my phone vibrated again, it was Lauren. Miss you. Then, call me later? I stared at the screen and typed, long day. Tomorrow. I didn't go back to our house. I slept at the hotel for one night, just to see how it felt to have no history in the room. It felt like clean air. The next day, I met Nora and signed a stack of papers dissolving the old company and forming the new. My equity moved, my contracts followed. The old shell would be a husk by Friday. I felt savage and surgical at once. Mark would be fine, eventually. Charm always lands somewhere, but he wouldn't land on me. Daly's updates kept pinging. Different day, same rhythm. Lauren's errands lined up with Mark's availability like they'd rehearsed it. I didn't need every detail, but Daly gave me everything. Times, locations, 2 angles per scene. He was relentless. Good. He kept receipts. I kept my face blank. At home, Lauren tried her second soft turn. She called me at lunch, voice low. "I've been thinking," she said. "We should do a weekend away. Just us. Reset. I found a cabin by the lake." After our anniversary, I said, "Why wait? I'm booked." She breathed into the phone. "You always say that. You always plan over me," I answered. "You don't get to be offended when I pick my own schedule." I said I'm sorry for that. "And I said I heard you," I replied. "I'm not interested in speeches. I'm interested in behavior." She went quiet. Okay. That night, she sent me a selfie from our kitchen with a heart drawn on the fog of the oven glass, like we were teenagers. I stared at it and thought about the picture of her at Mark's place. Same smile, different backdrop. The contrast was almost funny. On Friday, I came home from the trip. She was in gym clothes, hair up, face bright. "How was it?" she asked, hugging me like the last week didn't happen. "Efficient," I said, stepping back. "How's the party planning?" "Under control." She flicked her hand. "Cake ordered. My parents fly in Sunday morning. Your brother said he'll be here by 6. Mark's around." "Of course he is," I said. She squinted at me. "Don't start." "Wasn't starting," I said. "I'm ending. One more thing. I'm moving into the guest room tonight. I need better sleep." Her mouth fell open. "What?" "Work week. New habit. Less chat, more rest." "You're serious?" "Deadly." "That's ridiculous." "Probably. I'll risk it." She crossed her arms. "This is about control. It's about clarity," I said. "We've been sloppy." "You said that already." "I'll keep saying it until it sticks." She stared, weighing a response, then gave me a tight nod. "Fine. Whatever." "Good." The door was closing inch by inch, and if she noticed, she pretended not to. Sunday evening, the house looked like it was ready for a magazine again. Candles, catering trays, polished glasses. Her parents, Tom and Elaine, sat on the couch. Tom shook my hand hard. Elaine hugged me like her daughter's happiness lived in my chest. "You work too much," Elaine said. "But you look strong." "Thank you," I said. Mark was already there. He'd brought a bottle and that grin. He and Tom talked football like nothing in the world could bite them. "Big 10 years," Tom said, slapping my shoulder. "Proud of you, son." Lauren looped her arm through mine and steered me to the kitchen. "You could be a little more festive," she said out of the corner of her mouth. "I'm saving it," I told her. "For your speech?" "For everything." Guests trickled in. My brother, a couple of neighbors, 2 of Lauren's friends from yoga, including Jenna, who avoided my eyes like I was radioactive. I took a mental picture of her posture. Guilty, yes, but also decided. She'd hit send and accepted the fallout. We ate. We laughed in the places you're supposed to. Every few minutes, Lauren would glance at me like she was trying to read weather reports. Halfway through the night, I stood by the TV and tapped my glass. The room quieted fast. People still like ceremony. 10 years, I said. We've done a lot. Here we go, Mark muttered playfully, lifting his drink. A few people chuckled. I gave them the highlight reel. First apartment, broken AC in August, learning to cook edible food, our first profitable quarter at the company, the trip to the coast when we thought we were finally adults. I kept it short, clean. I looked at Lauren when I said, "we," and she smiled like she meant it. "But," I said, and set my glass down. "Something happened this year I thought was impossible. I was wrong. I got an education." The room tilted. Sound dropped. People don't know whether to be amused or alarmed when a man says, "But," on an anniversary. I picked up the remote. The first photo filled the TV. Daly had taken it from across the street. Lauren at Mark's door, hands where no one could pretend. A hush ate the air. "That's my house," I said evenly. "That's my wife. That's my business partner." Lauren's mother made a sound like a chair dragging the floor. Tom sat forward, elbows on his knees, eyes hard. I clicked to the next image. A different day, same front door. Lauren wore a different jacket. Mark's shirt had buttons. Some weren't fastened. I was on a client call that afternoon, I said. Hard to hear over all the teamwork. Stop, Lauren said, voice low and cutting. Turn it off. Not yet, I told her. Third image, the backyard selfie from months ago. Fourth, a time-stamped screenshot of a message from her to Jenna about how cute it is that he thinks we're just friends. Lauren took a step toward me like she might grab the remote. I didn't move. Fifth, I said, and let the screen show an angle from the coffee shop where she sat laughing, fingers brushing Mark's wrist like that was a joke too. I talked, not loud, not kind. I didn't perform. I narrated. Sixth, lunch at the place off Maple. Seventh, pharmacy stop. Eighth, her car, back at his place, 3 days later. Ninth, him leaving by the back stairs. Each click was a nail. Mark stood without looking at anyone. He set his drink down carefully, like leaving a tip on a table, and walked toward the hallway. Sit, I said, eyes on him. He froze, then looked at me and decided the door was safer. He left. The front door hit the frame. It wasn't a slam, it was a surrender. Lauren faced me, chin lifted. There wasn't remorse there. There was anger that the tidy picture was broken in front of witnesses. You're humiliating yourself, she said. That's 10, I answered, clicking to the last picture. A screen capture of her message to Jenna. He believes what he wants. It's adorable. I get to keep my life exactly how I want it. The room didn't breathe. Jenna put a hand over her mouth. My brother swore under his breath. Tom stared at the carpet, then at me, then at Lauren. Elaine stood. We didn't raise you for this, she said. It wasn't a shriek. It was disgust bottled and labeled. Lauren shot back. Mom, not now. Tom turned to me. What do you need from us? Nothing, I said. This part is mine. I let the TV go black and picked up a small box from the sideboard, wrapped with clean paper and a neat bow. I handed it to Lauren. What is this? She said, not touching it. Open it, I told her. She tore the paper and stared at the folder inside. Divorce documents. Signed by me, dated during my trip. A separate letter sat on top, from Nora, noting the dissolution of the old company and the transfer of my equity to a new entity under my sole control. I didn't need to say what that meant. The vendors would. You did this behind my back, she said, but her voice didn't rise. It flattened. Her eyes were bad math, trying to add up what she'd lost in one night. I acted ahead, I replied. Elaine reached for her daughter's arm, but Lauren shook her off. She looked at me like I'd just pulled the floorboards and left her hovering. Maybe I had. I'm sorry, everyone, I said to the room. Party's over. Thank you for coming. I need you to leave. Elaine started to protest. I held up a hand. Not rude, just final. Tom nodded to her and stood, guiding her toward the hall. Guests moved quietly, collecting jackets. My brother squeezed my shoulder. Lauren backed up a step. You're throwing me out. You have 2 hours, I said. Pack what's yours. The guest room is not an option. This house is no longer yours to decorate or schedule or stage. I'll have a friend here to change locks at midnight. You can't. I can't, I cut in. And I am. She tried a different tone, the one that used to detune me. We should talk. We just did, I said. You weren't listening. Tom looked at me with something like pity and something like respect. You don't need us here for this, he said. No, I said. But I wanted you to see what I'm doing and why. He nodded once. To Lauren, he said, we'll wait outside. When the door closed and the house was just us, she shot for one more play. You going to feel big now? She asked. No, I said. I'm going to feel done. She looked past me at the TV hanging blank on the wall, then down at the papers in her hands. I want to say something that makes this go away. Nothing you say changes what you did, I answered. Words aren't the problem. She set the papers on the table so carefully it made me tired. What if we reset? Not interested, I said. There's no reset for respect. Her throat moved. And Mark. Not my concern anymore. He'll destroy what you built, she said. Oh, he'll try, I replied. But he'll be trying with an empty shell, and I'll be busy running an actual company. She took a breath and stopped mid-syllable. Where do I go tonight? Anywhere you want, I said. But not here. She stared at me for a long 10 seconds and then nodded. I'll pack. I opened the front door for her parents to come back in and help. 2 hours, I repeated. Elaine brushed past me without a word. Tom stopped. You sure you don't want us to? I'm sure, I said. He nodded. I'm sorry. Me too, I said. But I'm not confused. I stepped out to the porch while they carried boxes and clothes to the car. Neighbors watched between curtains. I didn't care. There are worse things than being seen drawing a line. When the last box left, Lauren stood at the threshold with a tote bag on her shoulder. For the first time all night, she looked, not small, exactly, but out of script. "This is how you end it?" she asked. "This is how I end disrespect," I said. "The marriage ended earlier." She opened her mouth, closed it, then walked past me to her parents' car. Tom nodded at me once. Elaine didn't look back. They drove away. I locked the door. The house was quiet. Not empty, quiet. There's a difference. 3 months is both long and short. Long enough to change every password and every morning habit. Short enough that people still ask if you're doing okay, like it's a status you can select. I moved fast. The new company signed 3 contracts in the first month. Miguel stepped up like he was waiting for the chance. I hired 2 techs away from the old roster who were tired of showmanship and wanted stability. We built a lean crew and started saying no to clients who drained us. I slept in the master again, and for once I slept, period. Mark? He evaporated. I heard from a vendor that he tried to sweet-talk his way through the closure paperwork and hit a wall of "call Nora." People forgive charm until it costs them money. After that, they prefer signatures. Lauren texted twice a week at first, then less. Long messages about history, about the way things felt. She asked to meet for coffee. She asked if we could have closure. I didn't answer most of it. When she sent, "I was lonely," I put the phone down and walked around the block. When she sent, "You could have fought for us," I laughed once in the kitchen with the light off. You fight for respect. You don't fight for a stage. Jenna sent me a short message the week after the party. "I'm sorry for my part. I should have told you earlier. I understand if you never speak to me again." I invited her to meet at a diner in broad daylight. She showed up in jeans and no makeup with an expression that said she was ready to be told off. I ordered coffee. "You didn't have to email me," I said. "I was tired of watching it," she answered, "and tired of hearing myself justify it. You did me a favor. I blew up your house." "I set the match," I said. "You just turned on the light." She swallowed. "Well, for what it's worth, you handled that night with more dignity than anyone deserves." "It wasn't about dignity," I said. "It was about ending a farce." We met again the next week and the next. It wasn't dramatic. It was 2 adults talking straight. She had a dry sense of humor that didn't apologize for itself. She didn't flinch from hard subjects. She told me what she'd seen and where she'd failed. I told her where I'd been asleep at the wheel. We didn't rush. We didn't label anything. When the first quarter closed and the books were clean and strong, I did one indulgent thing. I bought a modest, reliable car and put a bow on it I learned to tie from a tutorial. I parked it outside Jenna's place and handed her the keys. "What is this?" she asked, more wary than excited. "A thank you," I said, "for telling the truth when it cost you. Use it, sell it, hate it, your call." She stared at me like I'd tried a magic trick. "You can't." "I can," I said. "And I am." She laughed then, something surprised and bright. "You're ridiculous." "Noted," I told her. "Do you want tacos or burgers to celebrate your impending traffic tickets?" "Tacos," she said, still laughing. "And you're driving." I moved houses 2 months later. Not far, just enough to erase the routes that felt stale. The new place has a small workshop in back. On Fridays, I grill for the crew. Miguel brings his kid and teaches him how to replace a valve on a mock-up we built on a picnic table. My brother drops by and tries to fix my terrible playlist. Sometimes, on quiet Sundays, I think about that slideshow night. I don't replay it out of pain. I replay it out of gratitude that I didn't blink. People tell you to forgive to heal, like those are the same task. I don't hold grudges. I hold standards. Lauren still texts once in a while. It's less now. She heard from someone that I'm seeing someone, and she sent, "I hope she appreciates you." I didn't reply. Appreciation isn't a wish. It's a habit you practice. I ran into Tom at the hardware store a few weeks back. He looked older. He also looked relieved to see me not wrecked. "You look good," he said. "I am," I answered. "She's back with us," he added. "Figuring things out." "I hope she does," I said. He nodded. "Thank you for not making it uglier than it had to be." "It was ugly enough," I replied. "I just turned on the lights." He stuck out his hand. I shook it. We left it there. "Here's what I learned. Trust isn't blind. It's informed. You give it to people who treat it like a gift, not a permission slip. I was proud of being the guy who didn't question. That's not noble. That's lazy. So if you're asking how I sleep now, like a man who said what he meant and did what he said. The last words I told Lauren in that doorway were the truest words I've said to anyone. There's no reset for respect. You keep it or you lose me. She lost me. I kept me. That was the whole point all along. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.